A 911 call. A black teenager. A mother who arrived just in time. But what happens when the truth stings more than the accusation? The sun hung low over Brookstone Estates, a wealthy neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio. The kind of place where lawns were meticulously edged, driveways looked freshly sealed, and the sidewalks barely had a crack. It was peaceful, almost too peaceful, aside from the occasional bark of a dog or the hum of a luxury car rolling past. 16-year-old Elijah Brooks adjusted the strap on his gym bag as he walked, his headphones blasting music loud enough to shut out the world around him. He had just wrapped up an exhausting basketball practice at Franklin High, and after a long day filled with classes and drills, he was drained. Usually, he'd take the bus home, but today, he decided to cut through Brookstone. He knew the neighborhood, his best friend lived just a few streets away, but he was also aware that this wasn't a place where people expected to see someone like him walking alone. Inside one of those pristine homes, behind a large bay window, Linda Cartwright was watching. For 15 years, Linda had lived in Brookstone Estates. She knew every car, every face, and every routine on her street. But right now, something didn't feel right. A teenage boy, black, tall, athletic build, walking alone, a bag slung over his shoulder. She felt a twinge of concern. Or was it something else? Her hand hovered over her phone. Maybe he's just passing through. Maybe he has a reason to be here. But doubt crept in, fast and relentless. What if he's up to something? What if I ignore this and later tonight, I see a news report about a break-in just a few houses down? A pit formed in her stomach. Better safe than sorry, right? Linda took a deep breath and dialed 911. Yes, I'd like to report a suspicious person in my neighborhood. But Linda had no idea who Elijah really was. And she definitely didn't know who his mother was. As she spoke to the dispatcher, her grip on the phone tightened. He's walking down my street, looking around like he's scoping out houses. I don't know him, and he's carrying a bag. The dispatcher's voice remained steady. Can you describe him? Linda's lips pressed together. He's, tall, black, wearing a hoodie, gym shorts, and he has a bag. I think. I don't know, but it doesn't look right. Has he done anything illegal? Linda hesitated. Well, no, not exactly. But I've never seen him before. This is a quiet neighborhood. That was enough. The dispatcher assured her that officers would be sent to check it out. Still watching, Linda hung up. Outside, Elijah paused briefly to switch his playlist, unaware of what was coming. A few streets away, Officers Bennett and Rodriguez were parked in their squad car when the call came through. Possible prowler. Brookstone Estates. Male, black, mid-teens, carrying a bag. Bennett, a stocky officer with 15 years on the force, exchanged a glance with Rodriguez, his younger, less experienced partner. Let's check it out. Flipping on their lights, they sped toward the neighborhood. Elijah was just 2 blocks from home when he heard it, the sharp whoop of a police siren. Turning around, confused, he watched as a squad car pulled up behind him. Fast. The doors swung open. Hey, stop right there. Elijah froze, pulling his headphones out as 2 officers stepped out, hands hovering near their holsters. What's in the bag? Bennett demanded. Elijah blinked. My basketball gear? Where are you headed? Home. His voice was steady, but his chest tightened. He knew this wasn't just some random stop. Rodriguez stepped closer. You live here? Yes, sir. A few blocks over. Bennett scoffed. That right? What's the address? Elijah opened his mouth to answer, but before he could, Rodriguez snatched his bag. Hey, that's my stuff. Relax, Bennett muttered, unzipping the bag and rifling through it. Sneakers. A sweaty jersey. A water bottle. Nothing suspicious. But Bennett wasn't done. Why'd you cut through this neighborhood? Elijah's heartbeat pounded. It's a shortcut. I'm not doing anything wrong. Rodriguez hesitated. Maybe he's telling the truth. Bennett didn't budge. Then why'd someone call the cops on him? Elijah started to answer. But then he saw something past the officers. A sleek black SUV rolling toward them. It pulled up sharply, and the doors swung open. Out stepped Denise Brooks, the mayor of Columbus. But the officers had no clue who they had just stopped. And neither did Linda. The moment Denise Brooks stepped out, the air around them shifted. She wasn't just any mother. She was the mayor. And she carried herself like it. Dressed in a sharp navy blazer, heels clicking against the pavement, she moved with purpose. Not running, not panicked, but controlled. A woman used to walking into rooms full of people who doubted her authority and reminding them exactly who she was. Her eyes locked onto the two officers standing over her son. Bennett's posture stiffened. He had seen her before, on the news, at city meetings. But it took a second for his brain to catch up to the moment. Rodriguez spoke first. "Ma'am, I need you to step back. We're handling a situation." Denise didn't flinch. "Oh, I see that." Her voice was smooth, but sharp enough to cut steel. "And what exactly is the situation?" Elijah exhaled, relief washing over him. "Mom." She held up a hand. A silent "I've got this." Bennett cleared his throat. "We received a call about a suspicious person in the area." Denise arched a brow. "Suspicious?" Rodriguez gestured to Elijah. "We stopped him to ask some questions. We need to confirm if he actually lives here." Denise let out a slow, measured breath. Then she pulled out her phone, tapped a few times, and held it up. "That's my son." On the screen, Elijah's student ID. Their address. A photo of the two of them at a community event last month. Silence. Rodriguez shifted. Bennett's jaw tightened. Denise wasn't done. "So tell me, did you stop him because he was suspicious? Or because someone assumed he didn't belong?" Neither officer answered. And behind them, Linda stood frozen in her doorway, watching it all unfold. She recognized Denise the second she stepped out of that SUV. And when she put the pieces together, her stomach dropped. She had called the cops on the mayor's son. She had called the cops on a kid who was just walking home. Denise turned, locking eyes with Linda. "Was it you?" Linda opened her mouth. Closed it. The weight of the moment crushed her. "I just thought." Denise cut her off. "You thought what?" Linda had no answer. Denise didn't need to say it. Linda already knew. But now, sitting in the quiet of her perfect home, she wasn't so sure. The phone felt heavier in her hands. The weight of her decision, of her assumptions, pressed down on her like a stone. She had told herself she wasn't racist. She was just looking out for her neighborhood. But that logic didn't hold up anymore, not after seeing the look on that boy's face, the quiet fury in his mother's eyes. Not after realizing that she could have been the reason things went differently. Outside, Brookstone Estates looked the same as ever, pristine, peaceful, untouched. But inside Linda's mind, something had cracked. And for Denise, for Elijah, for every Black family who had ever had to prove their right to simply be, this wasn't over. Because it never really was.